Hey, I am CrunkChocolate along with Charlie, and later we will be joined with Tom Bomb. How's it going, Charlie?
What's going on, man? How you doing today?
Good, good. We out here. Welcome to another episode of Represent. You know the vibe is by now in the nitty gritty of content season. Football season is over, and we're doing the football podcast equivalent of sitting around a fire pit singing Kumbaya, bringing on a fan of a top 10 team, and we chat about football. Shall we get to it? Our guest is a Chelsea fan, and she's proud of it. One half of Shea Butter Podcast, a most dope woman having Premier League USA write-ups about her. I see you, Sylvs.
Oh,
How are you
okay.
doing tonight?
Oh, wow. Wow, y'all came out the gate swinging. Wow. I
My
am
bad.
proud of it. Some days more than others. I think I quit the men at the end there because they were pissing me off. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Ready to talk some football. So
A few of the other episodes, the other people got to it before me, so I was like, nah, from Gates, I'm not getting played, son. I'm just going to get in there.
I understand. I understand.
Oh, my goodness. How did you become a fan of Chelsea?
DDA Drogba. It's my guy. Permed hair and all, whatever we were doing. You know what? He had to be good for me to love him with that hair. He cut it off though, so he got free. Um, but yeah, I just loved the way he played. I loved his passion. I loved his passion for Chelsea. Um, Obviously got to see the 2012 drama off and on, obviously. Um, because sometimes we have to have VPNs and illegal streams and all that other stuff to get football in this country. Not anymore, but maybe 8 streaming services, but not illegal anymore. But yeah, I loved his energy and just the energy of the team. I have feelings about Lampard as a coach, but I did like him as a mid. Obviously Petacek. So like the pedigree for the team. At the time, I was a really big Torres fan, and he snuck to Chelsea too. Uh, it was mostly disappointing, except for in the biggest moments. So that's always helpful. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I like the color blue. I like that shade of blue. So it's really superficial, but that also helps. I know. You said shades of blue. You didn't say one shade of blue on this podcast. So um, but yeah, I liked what they were doing. And then a little later got into the women. Obviously, even harder to find those games back in the day. And then Crystal Dunn with the Chelsea, so that pretty much solidified everything for me. So yes.
I feel like the all the perming of the hair kind of forced the baldness, so it was like one into the other.
Yeah, he had to come home.
And I don't appreciate the shades of blue flip that you just did. That was not appreciated. But as appreciator of music, I do also appreciate the flip. It's like a
Yeah,
double
always,
entendre of emotions.
always.
But this is the next part of the podcast is where I ask you 5 questions. The
Okay.
first question being best thing about being a fan of Chelsea.
Best thing about being a fan of Chelsea is being really cool with other Black Chelsea fans. Yeah, we have like our own group chats and just yeah, are able to chop it up or when it's miserable, I don't have to suffer alone. So that's always really nice. So yeah, I think it's despite the reputation, I know the reputation of Chelsea fans like in England is definitely different, but like some of the smartest people I know who watch the sport are a part of that group with me, and so I learn a lot from them, and we suffer together and we celebrate together. So yeah, the fandom and just being able to watch quality football. Yeah.
So, if I may ask, how was that? Because usually when you pick a team, you find out about like the drama after. So, like after you
Yeah.
chose Chelsea, you found out about all of the nonsense. How did you feel about that?
Nonsense, criminal, slight criminal activity. Um, you know what? At times in history, it's always going to be a bit icky. Listen, like we all watch top flight soccer. All of it's icky. I'm not absolving all the stuff that went down. I'm very glad we sold the team. um, that was a rough couple of months. Didn't know if that was gonna happen. And I made my peace with like whatever punishment we get. Fine, like we deserve it. It's been a fun ride. Like we've won some things, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess for me, I focus on the players and the fans, but I do that with any team that I root for. Chelsea's not the only team I root for. But yeah, I think just style of play, fans. I like, our kind of like our academy guys, and just really being able to sort of watch them grow and root for them, being able to hold on to that too. Um, yeah, I don't know, and I'm also pretty loyal. Like I don't switch teams, so good or bad, I'm pretty much gonna stick it out. So
And as a City fan in our ownership and the Saudi regime,
yeah,
that's something that we are like constantly having to like fight against. It's like no, like so it always seems whenever like Chelsea fans are like oil money because it's like come on, bro, like you should be
right.
like
We
the last
can't
person
really,
using that
yeah,
phrase, but it's also got to figure out how to separate that stuff because they're all billionaires, and so that means they all
right,
somehow, some way are like shitty humans
right.
because like we know the vibes
Uh,
about billionaires.
no, there are no ethical billionaires, right?
Yeah,
So if your billionaire is not loud about it, they're doing the same thing quietly, right? And that's not better or worse, right? It's all the same kind of ick and evil. But yeah, everybody exploits somebody if they're a billionaire. There's no real way around that. Um, and in order to really, I guess stand in principle, we'd have to stop watching top flight soccer, and nobody's really offering up that option. So, um, but again, we always make compromises. I think particularly as Black people, certainly in America, like we're always making compromises versus what we'd actually like to live or believe. We don't have a choice. We didn't make the system, so we have to navigate it. But and soccer in many ways is a microcosm for all the things you have to do in life. So yeah, I take it because what people are saying isn't untrue per se, but what's my rebuttal going to be? You're right. Like I don't know, but I'm also like I'm not going to stop watching football in general. So yeah, I think it's a constant sort of it is, as we say in VA, it is what it is. Like I've made my choice. Newcastle fans are going to have to grapple with that now, right? Like what does that look like for them? And there's a lot of Newcastle fans. Like that's one of those classic clubs that has a lot of fans in the U.S. And so yeah, I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, I try to focus on the football. You can never completely separate things, but um, I'm okay with that. I just want my team to be competitive and good and find the right balance of talent. Really.
yeah. And honestly, I feel like Newcastle they're going to be kind of in the similar energy as
Yeah.
Man City fans. Like, no, we're
Yeah.
here for the money. Like, yeah, I guess we're gonna take the shit, but we need this. Like, it's going to help the team do
Yeah.
better and grow and stuff like that. Yeah. Next question is worst memory of Man City against your team, and obviously men or women's side. Because the women's side is pretty successful against many teams. So
Yeah. I'm not really big on the Conti Cup, but I didn't like losing it to y'all this year. I don't know the men. I just think we struggle against Man City. Like it's even this season, it was quite infuriating. I have I don't know if it's a love hate relationship with Pep. Pep's the character. No, because I do think he's very good. I think he's better at a league than a tournament sometimes or oftentimes, which is a different managerial style. So I get that. My manager's the opposite, so it's fine. um, yeah, I one like moment. I don't know. It's usually not against us. For me, the City moment that stands up is the Aguero goal, but I don't think that was against us. So, um, I don't know. Most recent memory, I guess, not being able to beat City at anything. Uh, this past season um, on the men's side, that's probably the freshest thing in my mind. I don't love playing them, so um, But we also won the Champions League, so I couldn't be too mad about that this year. So, and I was gonna bring that up. You knew it was coming.
I'm so happy. I'm happy you brought it up because while you're talking, I'm like, whatever she says, I hope she ends with, "But we beat y'all in Champions League." Like that. That's really all it takes.
That was pretty much
Trump
it.
card. Like throw the spade on the table.
That was it.
High book. Also, I was thinking about how in Tuchel's first season, that spring run, like y'all just dominated us. I think we played y'all 3 or 4 times towards the end of the season, and we just could not. The 3 competitions, and we just could not beat y'all. And I was like, wow, I hate Tuchel. I don't like looking at Conte just intercept every pass. Like, forget Rudiger, like even though he's great, but I don't like looking at him. Y'all keep a great black player. I do love that about Chelsea.
Rudiger is a menace of a human. Like, if he didn't play for my team, I'd probably hate him. But he's a wild dude, man. Like, and obviously he's gone now, but he went to my other team, so he's gonna be wild there too, and that's gonna be real interesting. I guess all of us are supposed to keep him in check. I don't know. It's gonna be wild. Yeah, that dude cracks me up. I'm gonna miss that dude. He bit somebody. It's wild. But yeah, Tuchel, I like Tuchel. I think this year was definitely an adjustment for him. And then obviously with the uncertainty of everything, I can't imagine that made his job a lot easier. I think we made some choices that in hindsight probably could have made some different choices. I'll probably talk a little bit more about that later. Man. But yeah, I think he's a decent coach, and I think he can get good stuff out of players. But yeah, I think now that he's done a full league season, he has a better idea of what he needs to be able to do, both leagues and Europe. So yeah. But yeah, I'd like to win against the big sides again. That would be great.
Tom was just trying to hop on, and that's why I
He
kicked
ran
him
away.
off. Well, unfortunately, this thing is like, well, it's annoying sometimes.
Okay.
Hey, white one.
Oh, you're on mute, my guy.
Cross your fingers.
No.
I know that frustration. I had that yesterday, so it's that happened to me yesterday. We were recording.
Well,
this is more suspenseful than a Marvel movie. Oh my gosh, he's a clone. It's like the multiverse.
Yes, it's taking its time, so maybe.
Dun, dun, dun. Did he mute? No. Oh man.
Oh, now there's 2 of them?
Just unplug.
Oh.
You gotta blow, take out the cartridge and blow in it real fast. Yeah, blow it.
No, there's not.
It takes me back. Good old Sega Genesis.
Yeah, right.
Ooh, wow.
Uh-oh.
Damn.
There's two of them. Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on? blow on it. Man.
Takes you behind the scenes, see how the sausage gets made.
That's what I'm saying. Like, man, we are a certain age.
3? Oh my god.
Well, I definitely know this is a moment that's technically going to get cut out of the pod, but still will be used as content. Bow, bow, bow.
I love a good blue.
Only one has sound and video.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's 3 of them.
3 of you, my guy.
This is the most chaotic thing I've ever seen. I love it.
It's a lot.
Yes?
Yeah?
Yes?
Yes?
Yes. One of you has sound. I don't know which one it is.
Welcome.
All good. It's all good.
Oh, man. This has been a day. But
Agreed.
I have been looking forward to this all week, so I'm excited. Even though I did come in late, I'm excited to be here.
It's all good.
You're
It's
fine.
all good.
Yeah, traffic is a thing.
Best place to be on CP time is between a Shea
You
Butter
know what?
FC, Shay's the Blues,
There you
and a
go.
crossover.
That's kind of
There you go.
what I was thinking too.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We all family. It's all good.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So the next question is, what's a myth, story, fable, thought about Chelsea that you would like to dispel?
That we're all racist. Like, not saying we aren't. There's definitely racist fans, but I would argue there's racist fans on most teams. Again, just because people aren't loud about their stuff doesn't mean it's not happening. But yeah, like I granted everybody has work to do, but I don't perceive myself to be that much of a racist. I don't think. But yeah, I think that's the overwhelming thing. Or in that, and I know you all get this too, right? We weren't a real club until whatever date, pick a year, right? Yeah, I'm pushing back against that. People have always been Chelsea fans. I absolutely understand why that exists. And there's merit to it, but yeah, people had legacies beforehand. I think much like college football, sometimes the old stalwart type of institutions like to pretend nobody else existed. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
ask Jimbo Fisher about that in relation to Alabama.
Exactly. And how do you think they became that, right? Or even, I like a good 30 for 30, so I think of the Pony Express, right? And how SMU came and did all that, and then they completely wiped them out. So even though everybody else is doing the same thing, yeah. So yeah, those two.
All right. So the next question is elevator pitch. Someone comes up to you, they go, "Hey, I know you're a big Chelsea fan. I want to get into the Premier League. Why should I choose Chelsea other than the all right shade of blue? What are the other pros for the football team you cheer for?"
My biggest selling point is usually you can watch your players grow, right? We have a top academy, and so you can watch somebody from like the age of 10 until they're in their prime, and they'll be in a Chelsea shirt the whole time. Like it's been amazing watching Mason and Reese and some, and even though he's not here, Tammy and some of the others really come through that academy and like really being excited about them when they were younger, and a lot of that bearing fruit. So I like the idea of almost like a community team, even though it's in London, um, and really that idea that you can watch people grow. Um, I always tell the James siblings, hey, you can be a brother and sister, play for Chelsea if you would like. Um, and yeah, it's a good mixture of like veteran experience and young talent and pretty international squad as well. It's a destination squad. You can always, you have many choices in London, but London is blue to me. So hey, if you like London and you want to root for somebody, go to Chelsea. And I always saw the women's team too, right? You want both teams you want a squad where both teams are competitive. Chelsea's right up there. Obviously, you all are as well, but yeah.
I was just thinking that you guys probably have the two best managers on, but like collectively the two best managers
Okay.
in like I mean we're dealing with Gareth over here, so
Man.
uh
Man.
right. So
Man.
and I mean obviously we saw what Tuchel did after that Lampard experiment.
Oh man. We survived that.
Hey, he got y'all to Champions League. I will never let anybody talk about Frank Lampard because
he did very well when we couldn't get anybody and we had to play with a bunch of young dudes, right?
Adverse
like, he
situation.
was good at that part.
Yeah.
Right? When he got the talent, he didn't know what to do.
No, not at all. Can't.
So yeah, I think it was a level above where he needed to be, I think.
Yeah.
But he did. And he's a company man, he's a Chelsea legend, and so he did what was asked of him. I don't consider him that dissimilar from Ole. Ole just stayed a lot longer. But so yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I do. And yeah, so yeah, Tuchel and Emma are definitely two very big selling points as well. Um, I want to box Emma sometimes, but I think so far we've done well on this off season. So yeah.
Honestly, that is a very good selling point as our men and women's team is great, and there's a great prospect, and that's a good selling point.
Yes.
But that's the nicest thing I will say. Like
Thank you.
Amy saying all the
I know it's hard for you, so I'm proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you. That was nice. Oh. Um, uh, favorite player of all time.
Yeah,
You're just
it's
gonna.
Drogba.
Yep.
Drogba and then Hazard in his prime. Big booty Hazard in his prime. Yes, my guy.
I, I, I
How
still
did?
I still can't get over the fact that Yaya said that he was so thick.
He is thick.
I mean, he is.
He's
Actually,
thick.
actually, I was having a conversation with a couple people that said that our squad is pretty thick too. Like,
I mean, Jack Grealish definitely bought the curve up
yes,
for sure.
Oh my god.
Jack, Raheem, somebody,
Yeah.
who said, somebody said,
Jesus a little thick too, ain't
yeah,
he?
somebody said that KDB had childbearing hips, and I had to put down the phone.
Oh, I was just about to say that. Yeah. I just heard. So
I had
funny.
to put the phone down. I was like, I need to touch grass after this because I don't.
Oh no. Is that why he's so good?
I mean,
Because he is like I think he's when he's on, he's the best mid I see. Certainly like top three. Also, is he the greatest ginger in the Premier League at this point? I've had an argument about this. Somebody said used to play for United. Oh Jesus. Starts with an S. Can't remember his name right now. But I'm like, I think KDB's
Are
the
you thinking
best.
about Paul Scholes? No.
Yes, Paul
Okay.
Scholes, that's it.
I mean,
yeah,
I think Scholes has the title. I know he also is like, I didn't watch him live. I was a
Yeah.
baby, but people talk
Right.
about him in very high regard. So that's a great question. That's ginger. Damn.
Yeah. If he's not one, he's two. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm very jealous that y'all have him. He's very good. Oh man, that threw me. Okay, I'm good. I needed to recover from that. Man.
So this is the next part of the pod where we will cover the previous season.
Okay.
So let's rewind, put on your hindsight glasses, expectations going into the season.
I mean, they were high. We were coming off a Champions League title, and whatever the other cup was, one of the domestic ones. I think we got. God, I don't remember. I don't remember much from that previous year. That happens to me every season though, so don't go by me. I mean, expectations were high. I was one of the people who was excited about Big Rom coming home. Probably I've seen his footwork. I probably should have tempered my expectations a little bit. But he started off really well, and then it just wouldn't go anywhere. And then obviously he made those comments, and I think it was a wrap after that. And it was clear he came to the place that he had been first, but if they had money, he would have stayed at Inter. Like, I think that's very obvious, and he clearly wants to go back. He was happy in Italy. And at the end of the day, let him go be happy and score goals in Italy. That's fine. Too bad it's for Inter, but that's fine. So yeah, I think coming in, at least to match the level that we had the previous year, certainly the second half of that season under Tuchel. Started off well. I knew it was going to be bad when Joel went down, though. I was like, oh, we don't have a backup for that. And, everyone was a year older. Conte was a year older. Kovacic is never healthy for long stretches of time. I think Jorginho played out of his mind last year, and I just didn't think he'd reach that level. And the Euros, I think, took everything out of him. So yeah, I think very quickly my expectations changed. I was like, oh, we should be able to compete, right? We were in that conversation with you all in Liverpool, and then I think about a third of the way through the season that conversation stopped. Particularly around the holidays, we just had the injury bug, and it just wasn't gelling. We weren't scoring goals, and then once that defense started letting in goals, I knew it was going to be a wrap. So we were really staunch defensively for like the first half of the season, and then they lost that too, and we lost defenders, so that made sense. But yeah, then after that, my expectation was, can we just hold on to the Champions League spot? I still thought we would do well in the Champions League, and honestly, I thought we did. It was odd for me. My two teams played each other in Chelsea and Real Madrid, and so um, I thought that second leg Chelsea played one of if not the best game I'd seen them play all year. But nothing was stopping Real Madrid from, obviously we see now, winning the championship. They went through everybody. So um, yeah. So I mean, I think honestly, for how bad I thought it could be, I think somehow we still finished third, even with all the room we gave the teams in fourth place, and nobody wanted fourth place. So that probably helped us in the end, as we tried to figure it out. And we got a little better toward the end. We started winning more. I think it gelled a little more, but also could see where we'll need to get some new pieces, or make some trades, do some things. So, but I mean, overall, it could have been worse. I think that's where I landed at the end of the season for the men. Could have been worse. I stopped caring about with like 5 or 6 games left to go, because they stopped caring with about 5 or 6 games left to go. So, like, once the FA Cup was lost, yeah, I think they were just like, whatever, just finish top four. They did the math and realized they would finish third. So, yeah, phone at home, save yourself for international duty, I guess.
So what were your expectations for the women this season based off of off of their performance last year?
Well, I mean, the last time we saw them the year before that was a very bad memory. Um,
Yes.
so I expected them to finish first or second in the league, which yeah. I certainly thought you all would finish second, but that injury bug slammed y'all so early,
Real hard.
um, that you were just clawing your way back the rest of that season. Between the injury bug and whatever your coach is doing or not doing, um, and so battling it out with Arsenal all year, who I hate deeply. I deeply hate Arsenal. um, yeah, it kept us on our toes, and there were times in the season when I absolutely didn't think we would pull it off. Crashing out of the Champions League was disappointing. I thought we should have gotten out of that group. I thought that was on Emma.
Mm.
I thought that was on Emma and how she prepped them. And I actually thought it was lost in that Juventus game. Like, the Wolfsburg game we always struggle against Wolfsburg. Like, that's just the way it is. But I think in that Juventus game is when she lost it. And so I just felt like that was going to come back to bite us, and it did. So yeah, I think that was the biggest disappointment. But I mean, at the end of the day, we won the league. We won
One-
2 FA Cups within 6 months of each other. So yeah, yeah. So I had high expectations, but I think outside of the crashing out of the group stage of the Champions League, they pretty much met them. Uh, they drove me, to get a few more gray hairs, but they did.
What was a favorite moment, a key moment of the previous season to you?
Um, so like I said, for the men, I think that second leg Real Madrid game was really like, okay, this team can be that. Like, I know it's in there somewhere. They just really aren't trying to live up to expectations. So that was at least reaffirming that, like, okay, I think we're headed in the right direction, but we definitely need to make some changes in the off season. It seems to be something we're working on, especially again now that we have ownership solidified. Um, and then for the women, I mean, those last few games, the run to try to win the title, and just how they found very different ways to win that. They won a few of them very ugly. But then I also think of the audacity of, and this is, I wasn't a Sam Kerr skeptic, because obviously she had played in the NWSL. I'd seen it. But I didn't know quite what that would look like, and I wasn't as high on Sam Kerr as everybody else was. She has shut me up, so I will gladly eat crow on that one. That banker she hit in the last game was filthy,
That
and
was
she knew
that
it. And
that
I was like, you know what?
that goal should have been illegal. Like she should have got
Yeah,
arrested immediately.
yeah. Like the audacity to do that on the last day when you've got to win that game, and it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna hit this shot. Like that's a wild time to do that, and I thought that would be the wildest thing I saw until the Champions League when Amandine just decided she was gonna be that
Right.
person.
That yes.
So, but yeah, I think that for me, yeah, is the highlight, and really snatching it and being down at half and then coming back to snatch that, and just the spirit and like the players that I really think have held us together this season all like balled out in that game and played a pivotal role, and so this one felt special because it felt like we had to earn that shit.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
earn that
You
shit.
did.
Like yeah,
Like
yeah,
every I found it interesting that like we were the last team, like we lost to each other, like our last losses were to each other, like
yeah,
in cup competitions. um
yeah.
you could tell that the way that you all were playing down the stretch and the way that we were playing down the stretch, I don't I think that if we would have both played Arsenal like in consecutive games, we both would have beaten them.
Yeah, I think by the end of the season, like, yeah, I think Arsenal is lucky to get second.
Yeah.
Like, I do. And again, injury bugs for them too, particularly on defense.
Right.
But yeah, I think they got off to a hot start. I think it helped one that they were healthy. I think two they had a new coach. But yeah, I think eventually there's tape, right? And
Right.
so, and I think they played some good games, but I think they can get a little stagnant. We'll see, who they get. It looks like it's gonna be mini Brazil over there in North London. So
Well,
yeah. But I'm looking forward to that like three-way battle, and
mhm.
we'll see if United. I know dreaded United. Sorry, wrong podcast. But we'll see if they finally try to make that push to get into the top three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the men's side, you mentioned how even though they lost in that second leg, it was a great mindset for
Mm.
the players, like heading in the right direction, which I always love that. Like you're able to, see progress, or at least like
Yeah.
know that they're headed in the right direction. But not to get into all the nonsense, but with the whole Romelu nonsense, who do you hold more accountable and all that? The striker or the manager?
For that amount of money, the striker. I don't know. So I think Tuchel's a good enough coach to put him in slightly better positions, but also while Rom is good, his skill set's fairly limited, right? So like you can't play him out wide, really, right? Like he is a 9. Like there isn't really anywhere else you can put him. And I think our midfield this year was not as good as our midfield last year. If we had last year's midfield to feed it to Rom, right? If you have Jorginho having an out of his mind season, which is a one-off, a healthy Kovacic, a healthy Conte. I think that goes a little bit better, but it felt like we just had an abundance of wingers trying to get the ball, playing out of position. All of that. We had just a collection of wingers and wingbacks. And so I think when you have a 9 like that, you have to have a setup behind them to get them the ball with some regularity to set them up. Or you have to crash the box, right? Like you got to be like Wave and just we gonna take 30 shots from inside the 6. Like that's what we're gonna do, and one of them will go in or we'll get a penalty. And I don't inherently think Tuchel's attack minded first. So I think he can do attacking football, but I think he's very much a defense first coach, and so that's never gonna bode super well for a 9 like Rom, who I think needs a high touch rate close to net. Or the freedom to do hold up play back to goal and just be able to distribute. And our wingers aren't always great finishers either, right? Or not consistently. And so I think you have to surround a player like that with wingers that can finish as well. I think we just struggled to finish outside of a few games. We really did. So.
And from the manager, let's take another step up. Chelsea has new ownership.
Yes.
How are you feeling about that? He's American. He already owns previous sports teams, so he
We're
should
like
have
everybody
the
else.
experience.
So he tried to buy the team before, and then he tried to buy the Spirit before Michelle Kane got him. I I don't know a lot about Bully. He doesn't seem any ickier than anybody else, right? I think what he has taken the Dodgers, so clearly he can field a winning team, and he's clearly willing to spend money. Dodgers payroll is obscene. And he clearly has it. Like, that's the most expensive deal for a team, certainly in the Premier League. So he seems to, I think, initially be invested in both. He met with Tuchel and he met with Emma, so I really respect that he gave them equal time, and he has made assurances at every turn that he will be investing equally um, in women's football. Like, he is absolutely committed to that, and he seems to, with some of the signings we've made, put his money where his mouth is. So I think that part excites me. I am not gonna lie, it'll be nice to just have a bad American owner like most other teams. That's different. So yeah, I think he's willing to pay. He's willing to, upgrade the stadium. He's willing to do all the things. He seems to want to invest in the fan base and the community around Stamford Bridge. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure at some point I'll be yelling at him because that's the way this works. But we could have done a lot worse, in considering the situation we were in. I'm fine with it. I mean, I had dreams of, whatever that group was that had Serena and Lewis in it coming through, because I know they had no real power, but I was just going to yell. I was just going to ask Serena, what are we doing, every time something went wrong. So I was ready for that.
With him being an American owner and you guys having such a prominent American player who doesn't play a lot, like, are you concerned that there might be that edict from the top office, like, hey, number 10 needs to get on the field?
I have such feelings about number 10. So let me preface this by saying he is talented. Like, I'm not disputing that. When he's on, he's talented. I have personal feelings on number 10. I don't know. I think this is a really interesting situation because, like, his dad's been involved in conversations about playing time. Yeah, it might. Like, it might. It'll be interesting to see how Bully feels. Clearly, Chelsea's trying to get a larger American audience, and him being there absolutely helps that. And they're clearly coming to do the summer tour. The men and the women are going to be stateside this summer. So yeah, I mean, it's a selling point, and it's an American owner. Having said that, like, other teams with American owners don't necessarily have prominent American stars, so it's not. I don't think it's an either or. Um, I just think he plays a position where we have a lot of players. Like, it's not personal, but I'm like, again, our team is mostly wingers and wingbacks. Like, we don't have a lot of other types of players. They all play very similarly, have similar profiles. And I think he's streaky. Like, he's just a very streaky club player. Um, when he's on, he's on. When he's not, he's cold, and he's probably going to get benched. And Tuchel did that a lot, not just with him, but with other players. He rotated that front a lot. I think that was part of the problem, right? People couldn't develop chemistry, timing, learn how to read each other maybe as well as they would have if he consistently had the same starters outside of, like, minor competitions and things like that. Um, I don't know. I don't think it's so broken that he won't stay. But I think if there's a better offer, he'll leave, right? So it really just depends on what the market is for his services. I won't say rights. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if eventually he makes his way back to Jurgen, right? Like, that's sort of who found him. Um, I've always kind of thought he'll end up at Liverpool with Jurgen, or wherever Jurgen is. But yeah, I could see him being there next year. Like I don't think we get rid of everybody. But there's a few people in that position will probably leave, so he's probably more inclined to stay. And I don't know if he has a better offer than Chelsea right now, right? In terms of if he really wants the prestige of a big club, he doesn't have a ton of options. So, and he seems to want to stay in the EPL. So, they'll figure it out. I mean, you don't have to love your coach, so you just have to play and produce results. And if he does that, Tuchel will play him. Like I don't think it's a personal vendetta. Tuchel doesn't play a lot of people a lot of the time. So, um, but yeah, I just all of that stuff. I'm like, I'd be okay if he was not on my team anymore, just because of all the stuff that comes with him.
You mean the long list of nicknames that he has? That
Those are funny.
oh,
Those are
oh my
hilarious.
gosh! Like
Insurrection and Zaggy is right up. Like that's an amazing name.
oh,
Uh,
I heard it as insurrectionist Iniesta, but I like yours
that
better.
one too. That one too. It's a running list and they're almost all hilarious.
Yes.
And I welcome people to continue to add to that list. That doesn't bother me at all.
Please do, and
Um,
tag me in them if you do, because I want to learn more about the
it's
list.
amazing. Yes, yes.
uh, well, sorry to continue to drag up bad net stories, but what was like a hated moment, low point, in your opinion, of the previous season?
I mean, being sanctioned sucks. I don't recommend it. Like, that, like not knowing, seriously, not knowing what's gonna happen to your team is a really messed up. Like it's, and again, hell of our own construction in many ways. We knew what we were doing. But yeah, just not knowing what's not gonna, and what's gonna happen to the players, particularly the women's side, right? Women, when things like this are often, the women's side's often forgotten afterthought. I'm glad it wasn't, and having to watch my teams play through that uncertainty, right? I thought it was very overblown about the bus because I'm like, I guarantee you the women take the bus, so it's like you'll survive it. Um, but yeah, it was, and I mean, it was a time when people were able to get jokes off, and like, what can you do? Let people have it, right? People have been waiting years to do that, and that's fair. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's lower than like not knowing what's going to happen to your football club and literally selling it with like 4 days to spare or something like that. Like that was really emotional, and I think it affected the players, particularly the men. Like I think they checked out a bit. I mean, and uncertainties about their future, right? Like if that doesn't happen, Rudiger probably stays, right? Like there's a lot of moving parts to that, and it's a ripple effect. And um, now that we have some stability, whatever it looks like to get out of that, sort of cloudy state. In the off season, we can make moves and promises and things that we couldn't before. But yeah, that was a shitty time. I'm not gonna lie.
I think
Oh, sorry, go.
I think that shitty time says that it makes an example of how good of a manager Tuchel is. Like, yeah, some of the players checked out, but like you guys still finished third, like a strong
Yeah,
third. So like,
yeah,
and had a valiant effort in the Champions League that we talked about. So like
right.
that stuff matters, I think. And I based off of how awards are set up, Tuchel was never going to win that, but like to me, he should have at least been in consideration just because of that.
Yeah, he definitely held it together. I think he's our guy at least for the next couple of years. Now I don't know if Bowley is Roman in that. Listen, Roman would fire you in 2 seconds, right? Like he was not wait. He moved early, not late, and so I don't know if Bowley moves like that. But I have no reason to believe that he wouldn't give Tuchel at least a few more years, particularly because he won. You know, winning championships buys you time and grace and goodwill, and so I think unless something goes horribly wrong, he has at least a few more seasons. At Chelsea, we are not PSG. So, um, yeah, and I think he's gotten some things right. Like I thought he was a little wild for going to get Thiago Silva, and because I thought he was old, and I was just like, it doesn't seem to matter. So, and he's sort of the heartbeat of that team very quickly, right? I forget he's only been there season and a half at this point. He's so integral to what we do. We also have to find somebody to replace him at this point. So, yeah, I mean, I like our coaches. Like I said, I have particularly them. I have some moments, but I like our coaches, and I can't think of a lot of people I'd trade them. You know what I mean? Like who I'd rather have instead. So
when Russia invaded and all that happened, the team Tuchel was saying all the right things, all doing all the interviews, like trying to take as much on himself. The team was doing good, and like you said, it just like wore on them because I really was like, yeah, this will happen super fast. But like you said, it really went down to the wire. And the entire time, I'm still being like, there's no way this should be taking this long. Like, I know there are a lot of things that needed to happen, but also it's just like, he said he's not taking any of the money, he's donating it. Like,
Mhm.
all of the, like, you would think the problems
Yeah.
he like denounced everything. So I was really confused at what took so long.
Oh, I'm not, because it was the UK government who moved just like him. So like I was like, no, they're gonna drag this out. I didn't think it wouldn't get done because at the end of the day, Chelsea fans vote too, right? Like you can't piss off a fan base in a country that's soccer obsessed, or football obsessed. Sorry for my Brits. But yeah, I thought it would get done, but it was uncomfortable. And like we didn't even get a final bid until like less than a month out. Like it was 5 6 bid. Everybody was putting in a bid seemingly every day, and I didn't know who to trust. I've never had to vet so many people I didn't know in my life. Like like I was googling. I'm like, who is this person? Who's coming in now? And so yeah, it's just stressful. And like I said, definitely more on the players. But you're right. I think Tuchel did a really good job of taking most of that and being able to hold them together the best he could and to get them over the finish line. So it doesn't mean anything if you don't get that Champions League spot, right? So now you can go get the players you need.
And the way Bully works, at least for the Dodgers, he supplies them with everything needed to succeed. He like
Absolutely.
over supplies, honestly,
Yes.
but he also gives the managers short leashes.
Mm.
And so I think he would be good. I will be honest. I have said that I think he's going to come and be cheap with you guys for the first couple of years. So
Probably.
uh, we will see. No, it's just because he had to pay like tax just because of the insanity. He had to pay more money than I
Mm.
feel like he probably normally would have if he was purchasing the team because of the situation. So, you got to recoup
Yeah.
funds somehow, some way. But it is unfortunate losing all those players because that's how you would get some
Mm.
of the people is the shirt sales. So in return, he has to, purchase
Yeah.
people to help with the shirt
Yeah.
sales.
I think he won't make a block. I don't know if he does $100 million signing. Like I agree with you on that. I think he will be wise. He will try to be wise and listen to Tuchel. And so if Tuchel gives you a Declan Rice, go find a Declan Rice that's like half the price. You know what I mean? Like they exist. You have to know where to look. I really hope we don't spend. I know he came through the. I hope we don't spend that much money. I like Declan Rice, by the way, but that's too much money.
Yeah, too much.
Um,
Sorry, but while you were right where I was hoping, uh, Tuchel, he's been given way more responsibility.
mm.
How do you feel about that? Like, is that a good thing?
um, I think the manager should have say in who's going to be on his team, right? Like if you're asking him to take on tactical responsibilities, right, and build this system and a philosophy and a style of play, then yeah, I think he should have a say. I mean, I think he can. I think he can handle it. I think he certainly earned the right to try. Um, and I think, like you said, Bully, I think is going to spend the first couple of years feeling things out, and so he's going to lean on his managers a lot in terms of what that culture is, what it's been, what he wants it to be, what they want it to be, and the type of players you want to bring in. And I imagine same with Emma, right? Like she's on that like ownership group, or whatever now, or something like that. Um, board, I can't remember, but yeah, like I think for how Chelsea operates, yeah, I think it'll be fine. We won't really know until the season starts, but I think he'll feel more comfortable. I feel like he'll think, okay, if I make this decision, it'll be consistent across the board. Um, and I think he's smart. I think he knows what players he wants to go get and what's needed for what he's trying to do. Because obviously, we basically run a 3-5-2. for the most part. So really trying to equip ourselves with that and some depth, right? I think depth is going to be a really big thing too. But I think ultimately for Tuchel, there's nothing about him that says having more responsibility isn't going to go well. But again, time will tell.
All right, so I feel like you did quickly mention it, but overview of the season. Now that we're here, how do you feel like they did? Did they overachieve? Did they underachieve? Did they push? Did they just like meet your expectations?
I think the men underachieved slightly. So we didn't actually win a trophy. I thought we'd win at least one trophy this year. Um, I think domestically the women overachieved, and they underachieved in Europe. And they knocked out the Champions League, so like I thought they would at least get to the knockout stages.
Which is odd. Like,
I did not think we would win it, but I did think we would get to the knockout stages.
I mean, Arsenal was the only team that did, right? That made it to the knockout.
Yeah, and yeah, that's because it was Barcelona and two teams you hadn't heard of. Though HB Code played really well, like with a bunch of like former like national team replacement players from the NWSL. That was wild. Like they played better against Barcelona than almost anybody I've seen. Yeah, so yeah, they got out of that group and then they got beat up a little bit. So I was fine with that. Yeah.
All right, so the third part of this trilogy is the where we are now, the off season.
Yes.
People, movement. Who are you hoping to see come in? Who are you hoping to see go? This is where you can get the hot takes off. Let's slander some people if you want to. I'm here for it. We're here for support.
I don't know what the men are doing. Like all I hear is a lot of rumors. I follow the transfer news as much as everybody else. It's one of the best soap operas in the world. So there's a lot of names that have been linked to us. Things we need. I think we need depth at that left wing back position because we saw what happens when Chilwell isn't there. I think he's very important to our team. I think that right side, left side balance with him and James is really important. So they need somebody who can step in and fill that role if necessary. I'm thinking particularly World Cup duty. I know the leagues are obviously postponed until afterwards, but still, just thinking of the wear and tear on bodies there. I think we gotta shore up that midfield. Like we've gotta find some replacements. I don't know if Jorginho stays, but we've got to get somebody in there who's box to box. We've got to get another possession mid who can really hold that ball up and distribute to those strikers. However, we're going to do that, whether we're going to load up with wingers or whether we're finally going to try to go get another 9. Because that offer from Inter was a joke, but I imagine Rom is going back to Inter Milan. $5 million. They offered us $5 million. Go away. Go away. I know we are rich, but stop. So yeah, I think that there's definitely. Obviously, we have to find a replacement for Rudiger. In theory, for Christensen, though he didn't play all that much. And, I think he's got other stuff going on. I get that. So yeah, shoring up. I think that defense and that midfield. I think if you can find the right combination, you could probably get away with the wingers / strikers that you have. Maybe this will be the season. Timo Werner scores goals. We'll see. And I defend him because I think he does everything else really well. He just can't score. Like I don't even think he thinks he can score anymore. And so, but I do respect that despite that, and that we paid him money to score essentially, that he does put his head down and he does everything else well. He is a team player. And I'll live with that. Like probably paid too much for a team player, but I'll live with that. I'd rather have a guy that fights. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does with like Callum and some of those others. Tammy's had an amazing time in Italy, but I don't think he's coming back, and I don't think he's the answer for us. I don't think Premier League's necessarily where he needs to be right now. So yeah, I think a 9, like solving that would be great, but I think more so shoring up that defense, shoring up that midfield, particularly a ball carrying, mid. That can really go box to box would be sort of top priority. And there's some people out there. Obviously, there's been um, some rumors there. One of them went to Real Madrid. So there goes that. But yeah, I think there's some really good players out there that if they're smart, they can get, for lack of a better word, on a budget, and we can do some work and hitting up that academy, right? Like I'm really excited for Gallagher to come back. I know we're giving him back. Broja was likely coming at least to compete, and so we've got a few pieces that were out on loan, or a few players I should say that were out on loan that I'm excited to see. I think they did a lot of good work. Um, I'm indifferent on Gilmore. I know a lot of people like Gilmore, so we'll see how that goes. And there's a few academy players too that I really like. So I think between the academy and some smart deals, we can get there. And then my favorite, the better off season, uh, the women A+ so far. We still need a mid. We got to replace G. And if anybody else decides to leave, um, but we got the best center back in the world, so I'm pretty excited. And apparently we gave her an absurd deal, which she deserves. Also, like she's 26 and she's definitely been playing a decade, so like it's wild to me. I'm like, damn, I feel like Khadijah Buchanan's been playing since like the late '90s at this point. Um, and we got a really good outside back, I think, on a steal in Paraset. So really, if we can get that one sort of true midfielder, I I think it's on. Like I think it's us and y'all, and it's on. I'd take my coach right now.
I would
I
take
think
your
it's on.
coach too.
Yeah, but I think that's going to be the battle. And, and so long as everybody stays healthy after Euros, I think that you all and us are gonna battle next season, and I look forward to it. Right? Those are always fun games, right? And y'all have some ridiculous young talent, like particularly in Hemp and Kelly. So
So
yeah,
good. They're so good.
they are. They are. I mean, I'm like straight up. I love watching them play. I love watching them play. They're really good. I don't root for your team, but like I appreciate talent. Period. So Lauren Hemp's filthy. So yeah.
Uh, so two things. I didn't know Jorginho was potentially leaving, and the other thing is, 5 million for Lukaku. That is truly insulting. Like never talk to you again type of vibes. But it is
Honestly,
also equally respectful, and it's like art of war. That's like literal art of war.
you gotta start low, right? You gotta see if they'll take it. I understand, but also come on.
Oh,
Like I know we're not gonna get what we paid for them, obviously, but five,
Like
come
it,
on.
like if it was a Premier League team, I would drive to their like headquarters and be like,
Right.
"Come outside. We're
Yeah, I
five,
just want to chat. Like,
five
what are
million.
you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
And I know
We
Inter doesn't
chat.
have money. Like I get that. But they are in the Champions League. Like they can pony up. Come on, at least get to double figures in the millions. Like, come on.
no.
We gotta recruit something. 5 million isn't getting us a plane. Like, come on.
Well, let's just hope that Inter and Chelsea are not playing the Sydney Hicks Netflix negotiation game, and like you just get
Oh God.
one low ball offer, and then you just don't negotiate back.
Stops. Yeah, and I think we have to be prepared for the fact that he might have to stay if we don't get at least something in return. So we'll see. I don't think he will. I think he'll go. Because they seem to want him, and we seem to want to let him go. So that tends to be the case. It tends to work itself out. But yeah, it's gotta be the right. It can't be 5 million. Like, nah, no.
I think Charlie made the point in our Slack that Inter is to Lukaku as Juventus is to Pogba.
Mm, I think some dudes just do well in Italy. Like, I don't. It's a different type of football, but they thrive there and they're happy there, and at least beautiful, right? And it's good food, it's good weather, it's all these things, and so, and I mean, he's in Milan. Like, who wouldn't want to play in Milan? I'd probably rather be in Milan than in London myself, right? Not that London's bad, but yeah, it's a nicer city. I think it's it's the home of fashion. It's all those things, and so um, yeah, I think he was happiest there. I think he's happiest away from England. So let him be happy. I'm here for players being happy.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of interesting with how Italians can express their feelings towards black people sometimes. If that's kind of like the easiest way I can say that.
Yeah.
But also for like Pogba and the way Tammy has been embraced and Rom, like for them to want to go to Italian to Italy and appear very comfortable there, I feel like that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always interesting, right? It's Italy. We say racismo just for them. Like,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
he seemed to be fairly okay. Now whether that lasts, I don't know. But yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, some people are happy there. Like you said, Pogba's happy there. I hope he gets to go back. Though God, both of them pick teams I don't root for. So yeah, I really don't like. I mean, I don't like Inter because I'm an AC Milan fan. I don't like Juventus because it's Juventus. So
I think he did. Pogba did sign today. At least there was an announcement
oh really?
on ESPN about it.
Back to Juve?
Yeah, he got on a free. Yeah, he just. I think it was like $8 million a year was the last contract report I saw. Because they got Dybala leaving, so yeah.
Oh yeah, Dybala was leaving. Dybala crying when he was leaving. When I'm like, I didn't think that dude was gonna miss Juventus was wild.
Yeah, agreed.
But Pogba's happiest there, so let him be happy. And I think he's sublimely talented. And I just think the English aren't like they're not gonna value his talent. Like he's so smooth. Like they use the word lazy. I don't think that's fair, but he's so smooth. It looks like he's not trying. Do you know what I mean? So. And I think that in England that doesn't translate well. That's not good enough for them. And so Italy, they appreciate that.
I just got really excited.
On his national team, yeah.
Yeah, I just got really excited thinking about Weston McKennie beside Paul Pogba. Oh. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then you get Mosey Keane up front. Like
yeah.
They got some young black talent.
They got some young black talent, and they got that dude up front because I think Duchamp's the real deal.
Oh yeah, Vlahovic, yeah, he's solid. You got Quadrado still amazing on right back, attacking. Like, if they they're gonna be back. Like, it's just a matter of time before Juve's Juve again. So I'm happy
Juve's
that
never down long.
Yeah, I'm happy other people got titles like Scudetto. Pass it around, back and forth in Milan. But I feel like Turin's about to come back with a vengeance.
It's gonna go wrong real quick, so we're gonna enjoy it while we can. Because, Juve's never down long. They're never down long. And so, Pogba and McKennie. Yeah, that is good. Damn. I like Weston. Dirty West. I like West. So, but yeah. So, I think that's one of the biggest ones just for the amount of money we paid for Rom, or we paid to have Rom play for us. So, I'm all for dudes going to be happy.
Can I ask you a quick question? Going back to some of the young talent you have, you mentioned Gallagher, you mentioned Brozier. Like, Brozier super impressed me. What he did, like, against City at the Southampton match, I was like, oh, he's obviously Rudiger left. Because I like what I saw from Chalobah, like, when he's the real force. Like, and Gallagher, we know how great he was under Vieira. What do you think about Chalobah and Sarr? Because I know you were talking about replacing Christensen.
I like Chalobah.
What do you think?
I think, obviously, he's young. I think he had some inconsistencies. I think he had some lemon booty moments, if we can call it that. But I also only think you learn by playing, right? I think his upside is really high. And I think he understands the culture. He understands the system. He knows how to play, the Chelsea way, whatever you think that is. And so I think he'll start pretty regularly. Sarr, I'm a little less sold on. I haven't seen as much from him. And again, it doesn't mean he can't take the leap. But again, you have to play through it. But I think he struggled a little bit. I would probably go Chalobah over Sarr right now. Not as almost, but I would go Chalobah. I think he's good, and so you do have that one person. I still think they need to go out and get somebody else. But I think Chalobah's up for the challenge, and I think in about 2 to 3 years he'll be in some conversations, right? I think he's got that much of an upside. So I'm really excited. Just for some of the talent coming through. But Gallagher I'm hype about. Like, and that might solve our midfield problem. We might not have to go digging for that. So
I really hope y'all can get Koundé. If y'all can get Koundé, that's like the one.
That's who we're trying to get, man.
Second year of it, right?
We're trying to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're trying to get Koundé. I think that's the big get, quote unquote. And again, still not super expensive compared to other people in the market.
And I saw his price drop by like 20 million. Like last year they were asking for like 85. Now I saw a number
yeah.
around 60, 65-ish. So it's like that's
Yeah,
in
that's
line
super
with the
doable.
defender. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's got talent. So yeah, and I think that's somebody like Tuchel can coach him up a little more. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's the kind of business we'll be doing this off season for the men. Um, yeah, I mean, I knew she was going to Lyon, but I was like, I would have taken the Brits. I really wanted Engen last year, and then she went to Barca to ride the bench for most of the time, and she still didn't get a Champions League because that's, I'm sure, what she wanted. I mean, obviously her girl's there, but I really wanted Engen. I'm still sick about that.
Kunda to Chelsea, I'm okay with that. The reason why his price was so high because before we went and got Diaz, he was kind of tied to City, so I think he had like that City tax. But also, he's not the tallest dude, so now that we got Holland coming in,
All
like
right. I
get
can't
all
believe you made it this long. Can't believe you made it this long.
So the thing is, this is the first podcast I've actually brought him up, and we have the song like loaded up and everything. I could have like went ham, and that was me being calm. So
Okay.
it's just because
right.
you've been delightful. So like I just didn't want to do that to you. So that's really what it was.
Yeah, y'all made that deal, and I was like, well, it's been fun. Well, and it's interesting, right? Because people are making all these arguments about why it won't work, and I'm like, nah, that dude's a freak. Like, no, that's like trying to tell me LeBron's not gonna. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That dude's and he's mean, and he's mean.
He is Thor. He is Norwegian Thor, and he scores in every way. I think it's like 138 goals and 183 professional like matches. Like it's ridiculous. Even with the Bundesliga tax,
Bundesliga tax, and I am big on Gio Reyna. I think he's great, but like an upgrade in his midfield, right? Like, and no, City doesn't play that way, but I also don't think Pep is going to go get Erling Haaland just to play the way he's always played, and he's gotten away with not having that type of 9. But I think he was like, okay, I'm done now. I would like to have that dude back.
I think people forget though, like what Aguero did in years like 2 and 3.
He had a 9.
Like he went off under. He started really getting goals, so it's like whatever. But back to Chelsea real quick. Do you like? How does it feel to root for like a 3-5-2? Because I know like sometimes I feel like it's tactically it has its advantages, but then I think when the attack's not working, you can see the effect of like having one person out of midfield or not in the front line.
Getting caught out, getting caught in transition, that kind of thing. And again, I think they handled it really well at the beginning of the year. I think it absolutely depends on your personnel. I don't think every team can run a 3-5-2. I think for the most part we have the personnel to do it. I think with Rudiger gone, that's going to be a different conversation because my argument is Rudiger is terrible in a 4-back. He's amazing in a 3. Like it's just he's one of those dudes. I mean, he can function in a 4-back, but he shines when it's 3 at the back. So, I think if you can find somebody to hold down those 3 spots in the back, and if you have a strong enough 6, I'm good with it. I wish the national team would do it more, honestly. Maybe not right now with all the injuries, but in theory, anything but a 4-3-3 really would make me happy. I'm not like I get 4-3-3. I think it has its reasons, but it's like my least favorite formation, honestly, outside of explaining the sport to people.
Wait, so what's your favorite?
I don't mind 3 at the back. Again, it really depends on who it is. I don't think everybody can pull it off, and I get very nervous depending on who the team is. But I think for me, probably was it 4-1-3? Like what am I? 4.
Are you thinking diamond 4-1-3-2?
Yeah, I like a diamond mid a little bit. I like diamond more than boxes. I like a good 6. I just think it's a great position. And I think somehow 6s are both in demand and still underrated. But I think all the really good teams have great 6s. Like that just seems to be one of the things that are in common. I like wingbacks, so 3-5-2 doesn't bother me. And I don't like fullbacks necessarily going up in the attack all the time, but I love wingback joining an attack in the space that it gives you. But I absolutely think that depends on what your attacking mids look like. But yeah, I don't mind. Again, if we can find somebody who's at least on par with Rudiger, and I think Chalobah can step into some of those roles. we have the wing back, so I think we're gonna play a 3-5-2
You said
because we have James and Chilwell. Like I think we're gonna play 3-5-2.
you said wing backs, and I just had fantasies of Sophia Huerta as a right wing back, and that just I want that in my life.
I'm always conflicted because I hate when black players get moved further and further back. But God, Midge Purse would be a fucking amazing wing back. Like she would be an amazing wing back. I'm always torn. Um, she's built for that shit. But yeah, yeah. So I think we'll stick with 3-5-2, and I'm okay with that. I would like to see what front three combination works the best if we're gonna do that.
So, not gonna lie, when you said that was the worst outside of having to explain the sport to people, I haven't felt something so hard in a very long time. So, thank you for that. Like, I truly
Well,
just
so
like
does
fell
4-3-3
over.
so much. Like our national team has played 4-3-3 for like damn near a decade, it feels like. Like I'm very tired of seeing the 4-3-3. And again, I think it has its perks, and I think depending on the talent you can make it work, but I just think there's so many other ways to move your offensive talent around. I just do. Um and I think there should be more space at the back and on the sides for people to run up, join attacks, create. And I just think it limits your space. I really do. And I think most teams I've seen do it squeeze out the people who need space in that formation. So, yeah.
Uh, Final question of the episode. Let's just say they get every position that they have wanted, every person who they wanted to leave left, all the people they wanted to come comes in. Where do you see Chelsea landing in the Premier League by the end of the season?
I mean, if we had the type of squad, if I could dream it up, I think we'd compete for the title, which it's been a while. So that would be interesting. I need to see if Tuchel can do it, right? Like for a whole season. I need to see that part because, again, I think he's an amazing tournament coach and able to make those adjustments in shorter periods of time. I think the wear and tear of a season gets to him sometimes, and I think he second guesses himself, and I think he picks the wrong games to make different choices sometimes. Um, but yeah, I think if he gets what he needs, yeah, we can in the depth that we need. Because I think that's the really important part. Then yeah, I think we're in the conversation all year for that title. And I think in some ways that might be the focus, right? Because we're pretty recently Champions League winners. Not that we don't want to win in Europe, but I think the league is a focus, right? And it's been a while since Chelsea's done that, and I think that matters more in England. So yeah.
I know we've been banging on the drum that the of all of the domestic trophies that you can win, that's the most important one.
Well, because it's the most honest one, right? It's the most, and granted, people can win a league and not necessarily be the most talented team, but I think it's probably the truest measure of how good a team is, just because it's consistent. I say that with any shield. Yeah, I think it's the most consistent, but it doesn't always mean you're absolutely the best team the whole season. But collectively, you've played well enough to be first.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. It really has been a pleasure.
All right, we
Uh,
made it.
yeah, look at us. Look at us. This is the part where you plug yourself, plug the
Oh, okay.
pod, do your
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, so like y'all said in the beginning, my name is Sylvs. I'm one half of the Shea FC or football club, because that's on trend. Podcast/business. We are a business. My co-host is Sky from ATL, always. And we're a podcast for, by, and about Black women in soccer. And so our main focus is to talk about Black players, Black staff, Black coaches, Black fans, all of that. Second, sorry. sorry, getting back to that. We are a podcast by, for, and about Black women in soccer. We talk like about all aspects of that. Now I sound like Kermit. um, and just advocating and just pointing out like soccer is a microcosm, but it doesn't exist in a bubble. Everything that affects us in our lives affects the sport of soccer. And particularly, we focus domestically. Obviously, we talk about international soccer quite a bit. I'm a Chelsea fan. Sky is a free agent, as she says, though secretly she's a United fan. So we can all hate the homie on that one. She's gonna be so mad when she hears that. She's a disillusioned United fan, so same thing. But yeah, but we focus domestically, and particularly just focusing on the issues in women's soccer and soccer in America in general. And obviously, the biggest, well, I would say the biggest issue is it's really white and it's really racist, and so dealing with everything that comes with that in terms of access, in terms of socioeconomic status, in terms of gender bias, communities that people come from, labor, like all of that is tied to the sport, and particularly, as we know, we've seen it with the women's national team. We've also seen it in the WNBA. Athletes in women's sports tend to take that activist role to the next level. So also really amplifying again other people in the sport who touch the sport frequently or not, and the work that they're doing. And it's believe and protect Black women on our show, so and in our life, right? So we're always going to do that. So we've been feeling a kind of way this week. And particularly with the understanding that both the league and the national team's getting blacker, right? It's not coming, it's here. And so really trying to make sure we're calling out the things that are going to be a hindrance to this young generation coming through, and even younger than them. Like we hear from parents of Black kids. Like we like, as I tell people, I'm not telling you what I think oftentimes, I'm telling you what I know. You all have no idea the stuff that we get. And I guess that's a good thing. That's a good position to be in terms of people feel comfortable sharing that with us. And obviously we're making some kind of difference in the space. There's not nearly enough of us, but we're going to keep being really loud. And we're going to be consistent, and we're going to find our footing, and the mission is always going to be the mission. The thing is always going to be the thing. And as long as we're doing that, and as long as the culture and our people love us, I don't really care about the rest. So, and as long as Black players and fans and staff and coaches are good, we're good. So, but yeah, we also do talk about the game. We have soccer school, so we try to teach people about the game in a way that is digestible for them, regardless of what level they're investing in. We cover matches. We do analytical breakdowns from time to time. We make our own lists, like our own top 10 lists, things like that. We do hits and riffs, so we bring cultural things to that. We bring our own musical taste. We're both musicians, and other aspects of who we are and what we've grown up with. We both grew up really, around Black folks and HBCUs and all this other stuff. So really just bringing all of those elements of who we are to the show and to the sport, and to the culture of the sport, and trying to change the culture of the sport. And a little seasoning, a little flavor, a little everything else. So shows like this, we try to promote other people who are Black in the soccer space and doing the work, right? And who love this sport. I think the hardest thing is, with your people, or with our people, like, I think a lot of us love this sport, but I think a lot more of us could, right? And I think it's just been sold to us in this country as a white sport. And so really trying to bring it to the masses and be like, no, this has always been for you. We've always played the sport. And you can get invested at any level you want. So that's my plug.
No, I loved all of that. And just quickly, I'm living right now in Southeast Iowa, so literally everything is white shit. So that was like a benefit for me when it came to like, I grew up playing rugby, and it's just like I had the choice to just like whatever I like, because everything was like white. So like if I listened to rap and R&B and stuff. That was like what my family's in. But like I have all these kids around me, like and showing me other stuff. So it was easier to embrace rugby. It was easier to embrace football growing up because I didn't have as many people poking at me, making fun of me for like being interested in those kind of things. So it's
Right.
it isn't a good thing. Like overall, like I did miss out greatly on having like a very solid black community growing up, but I got it now, mama.
Yeah,
like we're out here.
And we find it at different times, right? Like you can't control where you grow up, you can't control any of that. And again, there are a lot of black kids who play the sport, love the sport. I think that they just get to a certain level and they get priced out. Like black and brown kids get priced out of the sport in this country all the time. It's not, again, it's never a lack of talent, it's a lack of access. And so just again, exposure goes a long way, and knowing that there are people you can go to, right? The NWSL is pretty inexpensive. Go see a game. A lot of college games are free, but also getting people to those games, getting young people and grown-ups to those games so they can see it. I think there's some cultural work to do, I think, in terms of the stadium experience and game experience. But I think oftentimes if you get people to a game in person, you pretty much are going to hook them. It's a very easy sport to love, even casually. I think it's on par with basketball, right? Like you can watch it very casually and be able to follow along as long as you know basic information. So yeah.
Well, Charlie, Tom Baum, would you like to plug yourselves?
Yes. I am taking Sylvs' advice, and this Saturday I am taking a road trip, and I will be at Children's Mercy Park, and I am gonna go see Kansas City Current against Chicago Red Stars. Really excited to see Mallory Pugh play because
it's legit in person, and like it's yeah.
I
would just like to say I've always defended Mallory Pugh. I feel very vindicated right now. So, except for the fact that she won't this jab. But other than that,
again, I think you said it on the show on one of your shows. Like it's the shots that she won't take that.
Just take the shot. God.
But you can find me on Twitter at TomBomb816. That's THOM.
And
he's a very good follow.
Oh, Tom's the man. Tom is the man. And a few weeks ago, to your point, Sylvs, I was invited to an Angel City versus Gotham FC match, and seeing it at Bank of California, 18,000 strong, a little under, but it was crazy. Like it was so many people there.
I was at that game. Yes. It was a wild game. It was a really good game, though.
Got to see Press before she went down. But on Twitter,
I know, man. I'm sick.
My girl,
hurts my heart, man.
Throw the X, we pray for a speedy recovery.
2023, we're gonna do it.
It's coming. But yeah, find me on Twitter at CWMSIV.
And that is the Represents episode, everyone. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Tom Baum will be on you soon, dropping his Euros 2022 pod series. Follow Shades of Blue podcast on Twitter at Shades of Blue Pod. You can watch it if that's your preferred way to enjoy podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where the video drops a day after audio release. And follow me on socials at CrunkChocolate, CrunkChocolate. Know the vibes. Shady gang, shady gang, shady gang.